Hey everybody, this is Steve here, and I am back again with a very special guest. I've got my daughter. How are you doing, honey?
Good.
Now, as I mentioned to you, many people around the world listened to your first episode. What do you think about that?
I'm pretty happy. I'm happy.
Do you think you're famous yet?
I'm not really sure.
You're not really sure? Do you have fans? Have people contacted you and asked for autographs?
No.
Well, maybe one day that'll happen.
Maybe one day.
Now tell you what, we were talking about how if you're going to be doing this podcast here, you should have a stage name, like an actor or something. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Okay. What would you like your stage name to be?
I would say, how about, maybe Bumblebee.
Bumblebee. Okay, so Bumblebee will be your stage name. So when we talk about this, I will refer to you by the name Bumblebee. So with that said, how's it going, Bumblebee? You just did jiu-jitsu today, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. I did do jiu-jitsu.
And what did you do in class today?
Well, we did do a couple, we did have to do, punches, 1, 2, 3, and then we had to push, do what you would do to get ready for a takedown and then push their side.
Oh, did you grab both of their legs?
Yes.
So that's what we call a double leg takedown. It's a very effective move.
Except it's I grab them, I put my head to one of their sides.
And then you push them sideways?
Yeah, and my left leg was, I believe, up.
Right, that's a double leg takedown. Good job.
Yeah.
Now, in the last episode that we did, we talked about...
And I got to do shoulder tag.
Shoulder tag? What's shoulder tag?
Shoulder tag is where you're each standing up and you high five or slap bump. Either works. Then you stand up, you get ready. Just do anything to get ready. There was no grabbing or taking down. You do not take down, but you do you slap bump or you high five or even fist bump. Well, I've only so far done slap bump and high five for the start, but that doesn't really matter. But you can do that if you want. And then you have to try to boot their shoulders.
I see. So that's a game that is intended to teach you guys how to play and have fun, but also how to get access to a person's shoulder. So in jiu-jitsu, there's a lot of moves that you might want to do to get in close to their shoulders, like arm drags and stuff. And so you're probably practicing that.
No, I'm not practicing any arm drags.
Well, maybe that will come later. But in the last episode we talked about a few things. We talked about trust, and we talked about why white belts are so important.
Yes.
Now, in this episode, we could talk about a few things, but I was thinking, since you're so good at it, should we talk about overcoming your fears?
Yes.
Okay, well, I know you've heard me talk about this a lot, but why don't you tell me and tell everyone listening, why is it important to learn to overcome your fears?
Because if you never overcome your fears, then you might not be able to win jiu-jitsu matches, but that's not the point here. The point is, you're not going to be able to do certain moves, and you might really want to do it, but you're scared. So if you don't overcome your fears, well, you can't do that jiu-jitsu move.
That's right. Everything that you try for the first time.
And there are also certain things people do to you. I've had to do this before. It's you have to get on one, it's the other person grab one, spin you around and then throw you down. Mm-hmm. So that's very scary, except it gets better over time.
Yes, that is a takedown called a single leg takedown. And what you're talking about, where they spin you.
But you're still standing up.
Yes. They call that running the pipe, where you spin the person around you. And it can be very fun because you can make them hop around in a circle like a silly goose.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you win either way, because either you get the takedown or you make them hop around like a silly goose. So you win either way.
Because because there's no point in winning a jiu-jitsu match. There's absolutely no point in that. Sure, you might get really victory, yay, I did it. But the point here is to have fun.
Yeah, well, if you're competing in a competition, you're probably trying to win there. But when you're just in the gym with your friends, your goal should not be to win. It should be to learn.
Yes.
And how do you learn? Well, one of the ways you do that is to go outside of your...
Comfort zone.
That's right. That's right. So what's your advice on this? Because I know that there have been many things that you were scared to do, and then you overcame your fears. So what advice do you have for people who maybe want to try something new, but they're scared and they don't know how to go outside of their comfort zone?
I just want to say something, but this is not only in jiu-jitsu. I have been scared to do a lot of things also in swimming.
That's right. That's right. You were for a long time afraid to put your head underwater.
Yes.
And that made it hard.
And I bet pretty much everyone here, since they were grown up, or if you're a kid, some of the kids here might not be able to do a bob. Like might. Not yes, but might not be able to do a bob.
Yeah.
It's like you just put your head underwater. That's what a bob is.
And if you've never gone swimming before, that sounds really scary, right? To put your head underwater?
Yes.
Yeah. But what did you find once you started doing it more?
I found it wasn't scary at all. Like, I was scared I was gonna drown or something. But no, it's not scary at all.
Yeah, the scary part is all in your head, right? It feels really scary when you haven't done it yet and when you're not used to it. But then once you actually do it, you realize, oh, it's actually not that scary. The scary part was all in my head. It was all made up.
Yeah, because if you actually do a bob, sure, you might get some water in your nose or some water in your mouth. But, you're not gonna die. You're not.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not gonna drown. That's not gonna happen to you.
Not in a swimming pool, no. Now, I have a question. Did you know that a lot of people, especially even grown-ups, they get a little bit afraid of jiu-jitsu because they're afraid to go outside of their comfort zone?
That is pretty surprising for me.
Well, grown-ups aren't that different from kids, really. They're older and maybe they're more mature and they know more stuff.
And they can drive a car.
And they can drive a car and they have more experience. But inside, we're all just a bunch of big kids and we get scared of things too. And so it's very common for grown-ups to be scared of something they haven't tried before. Like jiu-jitsu, a lot of people are really scared to try it for the first time. But then once they try it, what do you think they find?
It's really, really, really fun.
That's right. And do you think maybe they think it wasn't as scary as they thought it would be?
Yep.
Yep.
Because they might have thought, oh my gosh, I can't do this move, I'm gonna die. Or you might think, I'm gonna get hurt. But no, it actually doesn't hurt. Well, it might hurt, but you're not gonna get crazy hurt, oh no, I broke a bone. That is certainly not gonna happen.
It's pretty rare for that to happen, especially when you're just training. If you're training with your friends and people are getting their bones broken, then you guys are training way too hard and you're not learning jiu-jitsu the right way, I think.
Yeah, because if you're oh, better luck next time, and that's what the winner says, then that's being good. But if you're ha 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 ha, then that's completely rude. But if you're oh, good game,
that's right.
Then that's a good thing.
So what would you suggest as someone who has a lot of experience learning to overcome her fears? What would you suggest to the people out there who maybe are in that situation and they're having trouble overcoming their fears? What have you done that worked for you to help you overcome them?
Well, usually you should have a growth mindset if you can't do something. And also, if you're scared, just remember, Dad told me this once, if you're scared and you're scared of all the things that could happen, then just think about the stuff that could happen. And if it's no, that's not gonna happen, then do it. And Dad taught me this, scale out what would be good and what would be bad. So if there are more bad things than there are good things, don't do it. But if there are more good things than there are bad things, you should do it.
That's right.
And if it seems really scary, then think, would this really happen to me? And if it would, then you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And if it's not gonna happen, then do it.
Well, maybe we can give people an example so they can understand. Why don't we weigh the scales like that? Let's talk about, should I go outside and run around in traffic? Would that be a good idea?
Well, no, because 1, I'm gonna start on good, one, sure, it might be kind of fun for some kids out there. But second of all, on bad now, you could die.
Yep.
And you could break a bone, which is less worse. And you can get injured. And so, yeah, there's way more bad things than there are good things. And there's probably even more things that are bad.
That's right. And it makes you think about that. If there's all of those bad things that happen if you're running traffic.
And there's maybe one or two good things.
Then that would mean it's a bad idea. And the funny thing about running in traffic too is you could have just as much fun running in the park. You don't need to run in
tag.
Yeah, you don't need to run in traffic to have fun.
Yeah.
So the lesson there is when you weigh the odds and you balance the scales, you realize running in traffic is a bad idea.
Like going down a really, really long slide. And it's really scary for you. Then scale it out. It's really fun. It's a good thing. And next of all, you're not going to get hurt because someone might be down there catching you, ready to catch you if you're too small for it. And you're going to sink and you don't want that to happen. And if that happens, then sure, you might fall a bit, but I'm guessing the people out there who can swim, you're not going to get hurt because the person who's ready is going to grab you, so you won't get hurt. And you might be under the water for one or two seconds, but then they're going to grab you and then bring you back up.
That's good advice. So here's another question.
And 1, it's fun. 2, it's you might be too small for the water. It might be the deep end. But no, there's someone to catch you. So 1, it's fun. 2, you're safe. And 3, you're not gonna get hurt or injured. You might get some water up your nose or some water in your mouth, but that doesn't really matter. It's what matters is your safety. And sure, you might think a bit, that's not very bad. It's not oh no, I sunk, I'm gonna die. That is not going to happen.
Right.
I repeat, that is not going to happen.
Well, if someone wanted to start jiu-jitsu but they were afraid, how would you help them here? How would you tell them to weigh the odds and decide if it's a good idea or a bad idea?
Okay, I'll say the good first. 1, it's fun. 2, it's a good way to learn, and you can represent your country, and that's a big thing. So, And you might get famous.
You could, yeah. And you'll also make a lot of friends, right?
Yeah, you'll make a lot of friends. So that you can see that the good is it might go up to the moon. And it's good for a broken shoulder. Well, a hurt shoulder.
A hurt shoulder. It could, maybe. I have a broken shoulder right now, and
stretches.
My physiotherapist is not so sure jiu-jitsu is good for my broken shoulder now,
well,
but I think
certain things.
Yeah.
I would say some stretches for certain stuff.
Well, yes.
Jiu-jitsu might be good for not a broken shoulder, well, not a hurt shoulder is what I'm gonna say here. But the good thing here is maybe jiu-jitsu could do
just for getting exercise.
Yeah,
that's what it's so good for.
That, as you can see, look at my hand. It's way up there.
Yeah.
And look at the bads.
It's way down there.
It's sure, you could get hurt. And in a competition, you might get a broken bone or something. It's that is not the worst that can happen to you. It's the worst that can happen to you, and this is something not true. The worst thing ever would be you might get a broken bone.
It's pretty rare for injuries that are...
And it's super rare to get a broken bone. So good is even higher now.
Well, I don't know exactly if it's super rare, but it's not
it's kind of rare.
If you train jiu-jitsu long enough, you'll probably get an injury sometime, but that's just the side effect of doing sports, right?
And you'll get stronger. So there's maybe two. There's like two bad things.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting is the stronger you get, the less likely it is
Maybe,
that you'll
like-
get injured.
And there's like maybe a couple bad things. And like getting a broken bone, that's not so bad. I've never experienced that. But it's like, that's not terrible. It's not like that. It's not like, oh no, I'm gonna die. That is certainly not true.
Yeah. And it's also part of exercise. Whenever you do exercise, you know, we talked about weighing the odds here. There's always some risk, but that doesn't mean we should be afraid. To do pretty much anything good in life, you have to take on a little bit of risk. And so that's not the bad part. What's important is to think, how much risk, and is this a good idea? And that's why we weigh the scales like that, right? Running in traffic is not a good idea. There's way too much risk and nothing good comes of it. But jiu-jitsu, there's a lot of good and there's a bit of risk, but it's manageable, right? It's no more dangerous than playing football or something like that.
Or maybe playing soccer, or even just walking, I would say.
Yeah. Did you know that when I was young, I got a really bad injury running to the bus? I wasn't doing jiu-jitsu or anything. I ran to the bus and I fell down the hill and I tore a tendon in my leg.
Yeah, that is even true. Like, you can actually get terribly hurt from walking, running, and even sitting and lying down.
Yep.
You can get hurt from that. Like, so pretty much like, if you didn't go out of your comfort zone at all, well, you pretty much wouldn't be doing anything, like not even like walking, not sitting. So technically, you wouldn't even be alive.
That's a really, really great insight, right? If you were so afraid of everything that's risky and scary and new that you never did anything, what would your life look like? You'd basically just be sitting alone by yourself and you wouldn't ever get to do anything fun. So it's important.
Not even sitting.
You might be lying down.
Like, not lying down, just like, well, I guess, like, if you didn't do anything out of your comfort zone, then, well, maybe you, like, sat down only.
Do you know what my friend...
You can get badly hurt from doing any of those things. So pretty much everything has a risk.
Do you know what my friend Elliot Marshall says? He's a famous martial artist. He says that every day you should do one thing to take you outside of your comfort zone. Doesn't have to be a big thing, but every day you should find one thing. Like, if you're afraid of jiu-jitsu, you should try jiu-jitsu. Or if you're afraid of going to a party, maybe that's a sign that you should go to the party, right? So every day, doesn't have to be a big thing, but you should find one thing, even if it's a little thing, like something you've been putting off. Just one thing that makes you a little bit uncomfortable, you should do it every day.
Yeah, like, oh, I don't like doing this. No, I don't like that. You should try one of those things that you don't like to get out of your comfort zone.
Well, great advice. Bumblebee, I think this was a fun chat. Any closing thoughts that you want to add before we wrap up this episode?
Just to say something. So, Daddy?
Yes, baby.
One quick thing. But Dad and, well, sorry, not Dad. Sorry, I kind of accidentally said your name.
Everyone knows my name. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Everyone who's watching. But just to say, everyone who's watching here, do not let people grab your head.
Yes, that is...
Because, like, that's, like, an immediate KO. Like, not die KO, just... They got you.
It's very hard to win a jiu-jitsu match if you let someone grab your head. That's great advice.
And something I do is I stay still. And it's like I just sit between both of their legs. Move. Do not let their legs get together, and it's very hard.
That's great advice. Well, you know what? Maybe in the next episode we could talk about that. What do you think? I got some ideas for part 3. You ready? Okay, well, do you want to sign off on this one? Say goodbye to everyone?
Can we just keep talking until we get to 20?
Oh boy. Okay. You want to talk a little bit longer? Now, the trick is you don't want to make your episode too long because we don't want people to get bored. So
3, 2, 1, stop.
Okay. All right. There we go. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.